So welcome to today's session. Today we're going to be talking about quantum identity. Okay, and I would like to start by defining what quantum identity is from a regular perspective and also from a quantum perspective. Okay, so from a regular perspective, identity is the roles that you may have, okay, the labels, the traits that you are attaching yourself to. So, for example, I am a parent, I am a partner, I am a provider, I am a leader, I am a creative, and then so on and so forth. So you identify yourself with a specific identity, and that identity has a different traits, different skills, different ways of you showing up, right? So these identities are helping yourself and helping others to understand how to navigate the world and how to interact with each other, right? From a quantum perspective, when we talk about identity, we are referring to an energetic pattern. Okay, it's like an energetic frequency that you are embodying with your body and you are presenting yourself with. So it's a vibration, it's a frequency that is formed by repeated energetic kind of blueprints that you have been repeating over and over, right? And that becomes like an energetic kind of blueprint that you go back to, that you understand, and that it becomes manifested in a way that you can repeat it, right? And you can go back to that identity, that frequency easily. This identity also can be updated as consciousness evolves. So this is something that you have access to changing, updating, tweaking as much as you want, but only when you are aware, only when you are conscious about it. And that's why today's session is all about curiosity, becoming curious, becoming aware about what kind of identities do we have, what kind of identities have we created, how are they serving us, how are they helping us, and then hopefully by the end of the session we can step into more awareness and we can uncover maybe identities that are outdated, that are no longer relevant for us, and hopefully we can tweak them, change them, let them go. And then I'll talk about the process of that and how that can look like as a journey. Okay. So I have some reflective questions here to help us connect with this idea of identity and then see what comes up for you. And feel free to share in the chat as you wish. Okay. So the first one is, what identities do I carry right now? What are identities that I am carrying right now? Some examples. In my case, I am a parent. I am a partner. I am an inside timer teacher. I am a friend to my good friends. I am a provider for my family. I am a person who is logistically oriented, so I lead in logistics many times. So just get curious about your life and really reflect about what identities do you have. And then recognize and become aware, how do you show up differently for each of those identities? So in my case, becoming aware of how do I show up when I am a parent? How is that different from when I am a partner to Samantha? How is that different from when I am showing up here as a inside timer teacher and doing this session? So becoming aware and really connecting and just connecting with what kind of energy are you connecting to? What kind of energy are you embodying with each of those identities? And how do you feel in each of those identities? And this is really interesting because if I talk, for example, if I think about my partner, Samantha, I can think of many different kinds of identities that I can have with her. Because I can be I can be the partner that is a father. And I hold the structure of I'm a father, I give you space, I take care of Eva, our daughter, and then that's one identity, right? The kind of the nurturing father. I can have another identity that is like a romantic lover, and that is a very different energy that I'm trying to learn more about, because I am good at being a father, I am good at logistics, I'm good trying to provide for the family, trying to arrange the physical spaces and create the structure. But I would like to learn more about how to embody more the energy of the lover, uh, and be more masterful at that identity. Because it's very easy and comfortable for me to do the other ones, but it's uncomfortable for me to show up in that one in a way that I can be received, in a way that I can be rejected and don't take it personally, etc., etc. So just be curious about the different identities that you may have and the ones that you may want to tap into more. Just get curious. So Patrick says different identities often have unique vocabularies and speaking registers. Absolutely. The way that you are going to express yourself, the words that you are going to be using, and the way that you're going to be using your body, it's going to be very different. Absolutely, Patrick. Peter says partner, parent, music teacher, musician, creative artist, friend, nature lover. Amazing. So those are some of your identities that you can see clearly, right? Yeah, so I would like to shine the light on conscious identities versus unconscious identities, because we are aware and we are conscious of these identities that we are able to kind of write down. But it's also very important to get curious about what are the identities that are unconscious to me right now, but they are driving the boat. They are making me embody specific things that maybe are not what I prefer. Or maybe I'm not truly aware of what that identity is like or how it shows up fully. Or maybe part of me is resisting that identity because there is an emotional resistance to even being curious about it. Because maybe we feel that there is something wrong with that part of ourselves, that identity that we are kind of uncovering or becoming aware of. So this is all about curiosity. As always, I really invite you to be compassionate, to be gentle, to don't judge, because one of the most important pieces when you are trying to become conscious and become aware, especially of something that maybe it is hidden for a reason, right? It is in the shadow for a reason. It is unconscious for a reason. So it's very important to be gentle, to uncover this at a pace that feels safe and good for you, but without letting that fear stop you from becoming curious, right? And from accepting what is there before you choose to do something or change something. So observation is the first step, becoming aware, observing, and then accepting that truth, because that is the truth right now. But from a quantum perspective, everything is always changing, and you always have infinite amounts of possibilities of what you are choosing. So the fact that you are seeing something now in this present moment doesn't mean that it has to remain there forever. It means that you can always transmute, transform, realign, and this is a process that you can do anytime that you want. But the pace of that process is going to look different for each of you depending on how much entanglement, how much we're going to get into the reasons of why some of these identities are unconscious and how they were formed. And then you will understand more why they are in the shadows. They are in the parts of you that are not maybe as conscious. Okay? Yeah, so Patrick says in Spain, it seems that people identify less with their careers than in the US. Yeah, so this is an interesting observation, right? In the US, people are more identified with what they do as a career because it has more weight, maybe. Society speaking, it has more weight, it has more approval. maybe people understand more. Understanding what you do for a career, it's easier to understand maybe other areas of your life. Or maybe people work more, because I noticed when I moved to North America, I noticed that people work more here. They have less vacation. Like in Spain, for example, people have at least 1 month vacation every year. That's the minimum. And many people have more. And when I came here, many people have 1 or 2 weeks vacation tops a year. So I can see how that is something that can be different. Um, yeah. Yeah. So some of these unconscious identities, okay, I will even call them protective identities, were formed in your childhood. Okay. These were basically strategies for small children to feel safe, to feel loved, and to feel connected. Because at that stage, they are not asking, who am I? They are asking, am I safe? Am I loved? Am I receiving connection? Am I receiving food when I'm hungry? And then we learn how to adapt. When those things are not covered, we learn very quickly what kind of identity, what kind of behavior, what kind of energy we need to embody to make sure that those things flow as much as possible, because our safety depends on that. We don't get to choose who is taking care of us when we are little. We are completely dependent on whoever is there. We cannot move, we cannot talk. So there are so many limitations for us. So it is not really a choice. We have to make the best with what we have available in that moment. So many of these identities are formed to maintain that safety. So it is an adaptive identity. Okay. So for example, some of these identities, some examples are being the quiet one. So not expressing, because you learn that expressing was breaking connection, and people they were not happy with you expressing. So you learn that you had to be quiet. So being the quiet one allows you to maintain connection, love, and attention, and whatever other things you needed, approval. Okay. So being the quiet one, being the over responsible one, being the one who's always there, the one who's always sacrificing everything just for the family, being the performer, being the caretaker, and many other identities that probably you can relate to, or maybe you did create when you were little in your family systems. So all of these identities, all of these adaptive behaviors, you can label them in however way works for you. But all of these ways of you adapting to the environment, to your family system, to maintain connection, to maintain love, to maintain safety, all of those are adaptive. Okay. So some of the conscious identities, right? Intentional identities that we have chosen fully, they are chosen when you are fully aware. They are not a habit. They are not a pattern that you created. It's something that you actively, consciously, intentionally selected, chose, because it feels good for you. Okay? So they reflect who you want to be now. Okay? Not who you had to be to survive. So they are closer to your true self, to your true essence, and they are separating from that adaptive part of you, that adaptive identity or identities that you had to create in order to remain safe, in order to remain connection, in order to just be able to receive what you needed in that moment. So they are very different ones, right? Very different, but they are both true. They are both necessary sometimes. They are both a part of who you are. And today's session is all about shining the light on both of those. And hopefully learning from the ones that are unconscious, and then knowing and becoming aware of that reality, that truth, and how that served you in the past, moving forward in a way that feels better for you. And then you create identities that align more with who you truly are now, not with what you needed to be to fit in. in the past. So let me share some reflective questions, and feel free to share. For example, BD says the eldest child, so that was an identity that you had growing up. Curious to know if there are other identities that you guys can resonate with, that you are aware that you created when you were little. What are some of those identities? In my experience, I was a very shy person. So I think I had the identity of not sticking out, not standing out from the crowd, like staying small, staying quiet, conforming to whatever was happening, kind of people pleasing, and that helped me unconsciously remain safe, because stepping out of that will make me feel unsafe, and will make probably my parents feel unsafe, or maybe my teachers feel unsafe, or maybe I will be confronted to situations that I didn't know how to navigate. So for sure, I had that one, the quiet one, the people pleaser one, the kind, the good boy one, always saying yes to everything, always smiling, and not feeling like strong enough to really share my emotions when I was feeling angry or something. It wasn't something that maybe was promoted, or let's say that I probably didn't get more connection and more love by doing that. So that's why probably I created the other version of me. So yeah, so you have Patrick says the rebellious, the sarcastic. Linda says the athlete, swimmer. BD says the responsibility was usually with the eldest child. So you were the responsible one, the grounded one, the caretaker maybe. Yeah, not to need anything. So Paula, for you, maybe the independent one, maybe the resourceful one, the one who always knew what to do and didn't need help from anyone. So yeah, so really think about, how did these identities serve you? How did they protect you? How did they serve you in that moment of your life? And why do you think the little you created those identities? It's really important to understand this, because that will help you be very compassionate towards that little child that did the best that they could in that moment. And the same for other people, right? When you recognize that other people may be acting from identities that are way outdated, having compassion and seeing them as a little child, uh, creating that identity out of need, and then from that place surviving through that identity, and then right now maybe not knowing what new identity they have option to embody. So very important, right? Marjorie says, I always identified as a brider, so have struggled with that since taking an extended break from briding as a vocation, or even a vocation. Not sure when and how to list that. I feel imposter syndrome. Yeah. So Marjorie, you are talking to the idea of, you identify with an identity of being a brider, and then for some reasons you took a break, or life took you into a different direction, and now it feels wrong for you to even go back to that identity, because it feels like you have not nurtured it, or you are not showing up, or you are not a real rider. So there is some resistance there for you, and it's normal. And as I say, from a quantum perspective, there is not a right or wrong approach. There is not a right or wrong identity. You get to choose what you want. But many times we choose by not choosing. So when we are not intentional, and we are not reflecting, and we are not observing ourselves enough to discover what kind of identity is showing up now, many times we are choosing unconsciously, and we are behaving from that identity that it is hidden to us. It is not really, we are not aware of it. But our nervous system, it is fully aware of it, and it is reacting. And that's why when you notice that you are behaving in a way that you don't like, in a way that is not aligned with who you are now, that is the opportunity, that is the clue, the entry point for you to okay, there is an identity here that is trying to express. There is an identity here that still wants me to do something a specific way. And this is your opportunity to do some healing work, some realigning work. Some of that work can be reparenting your inner child. And you can do this through inner child work combined with parts work. And then you can go back to a time in your life when you needed to create that identity. And then you can give space to that part of you to express, to that identity to kind of express and say what they need, why they feel the way they do, and what is their intention. Because from a family systems perspective, if you read the book is called No Bad Parts, right? And that means that every part of you, every identity that you have created, it's not bad. It's there for a reason. It was created for a reason, and most likely to protect you, to nurture you, to help you survive. And it's important for you to really create space for that part of you to express. And then together you can reparent that part of you and say, listen, I really am grateful for what you did for me. And it's no longer working this way. I am an adult now, I have more resources, and now we can face this together on a different way. And then you can have a dialogue, and then you can find a way to integrate that part of you. So sometimes a part of us was exiled, was repressed. And then we can bring that part of us back if that feels good and aligned for us. So yeah, that's an strategy for you to reparent, to realign, to uncover that identity, and then to really let go of the need to use that identity moving forward if that's not what you want. And then you get to create a different one that feels more aligned. So yeah, so really becoming aware of these things is really, really important. So Soliman says, the lonely wise guy. Yeah, the talkative, sensitive child, says Marjorie. Yeah, for me, as a visual artist, if I stop creating, I feel lost and with no purpose. I feel like I wasn't real enough. Yeah, and I can feel you. And it feels to me that probably you love creating, right? Am I wrong here? Because getting curious about this is also really important, because maybe you feel the need to create because you feel like an imposter, or because that's what you know what to do. But moving forward, maybe creating is not what you truly want, but there is a resistance of letting that go, because maybe that is comfortable and known, and people appreciate you by being a creative. But maybe you want to do something completely different, and maybe there is a resistance of that new identity being fully owned. So that can be one path, that I don't know if that's your case, but another path is maybe you want to create, but there is a lot of pressure about how that needs to happen. And maybe you get to discover what that identity looks like. Maybe creating is your full-time job. Maybe creating is just a passion of yours and it has nothing to do with finances. Maybe that is your self-care. Maybe, I don't know, getting curious about your truth in this process is really, really important. And curiosity normally will allow you to uncover what's happening, what parts are activated, and then what do you truly want moving forward. If you can let go of the fear, if you can let go of the need to do a specific thing to receive love, to receive connection, if all those things were there, no matter what you did, how will you show up? What will you choose to do? And I think those questions are something that will unfold slowly, maybe, and you just have to be curious and patient. Christine says, Emilio, recognize the shy, quiet child that you describe for yourself completely as me. I have handed in my notice at work, embarking on a very different path. Haven't worked out my new path yet, so feeling strong, but nervous about an unknown future. Yeah, Christine, sending you lots of energy in this unknown, in this transition phase. that I'm going to talk more about in a little bit. What happens when the old identity falls away, breaks, no longer is relevant for you, but there is nothing formed yet. There is not a clear new identity that you know you are moving forward. And that in between can feel very uncomfortable. It can feel very unsafe for your nervous system, right? To embark into doing something that is uncertain. I have no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea how am I going to take care of myself, or what am I going to be doing for work, or where am I going to live, or what are people around me going to think about me doing this change. So there are so many layers that you get to discover. But I think if you have done that, clearly there was a strong push from your true self to just break out of what you used to do, because most likely you have grown and your consciousness has grown enough that it just no longer fits in that identity that you had. It just is not sustainable anymore. So I think it's a good thing, and it's also a very scary thing. So I really send you a lot of energy, Christine, for this situation. Yeah. So when you are a child, right, and you are forming yourself as a child, like you are always asking, right? Am I safe? Am I loved? Do I belong here? And then these identities, as I was talking about, they are formed just to fit in, to stay safe, and to maintain attachment. And this is where attachment really comes into play, and really getting curious about what kind of attachment style do I notice I have. And you may have all of them depending on the situation, right? But many times I find myself being avoidant, and I just avoid the situation, and I just peace out, and I just don't talk, and I remain silent. And even though I want to connect, I choose solitude. And it's kind of a self-sabotage kind of behavior, but it's because my avoidant attachment style is getting activated. And in that moment, what I feel safety means is to be alone. Some of the times is the opposite. I feel anxious. I feel that I need to grab, I need connection. I need to be close to the people around me. In that moment, my nervous system feels unsafe if it's alone. And it feels responsible to make sure that the people around me are feeling well so that I can feel well. So I get anxious, and I get on fixing mode, and I get controlling, and I get like, no, but you have to feel well, and you have to do this, and I want to hug, and don't go away. And so that's the anxious style, right? And safety means enmeshment, togetherness. And it's the complete opposite as the avoidant. And sometimes it's a disorganized attachment style. You may have both tendencies, and they may show up kind of as a pull and push kind of cycle. And then this happens between you, but this can also happen with your partner. And then you can get this in these cycles of, wow, I am pushing now, I am the anxious one, and now you are avoiding me. And then we are mutually activating that attachment style that we created when we were little. So very important to connect these dots, and very important to recognize that we behave in concrete ways because of a reason. And many times going back to these identities that we have formed and understanding why we did that can help us really move through these layers of attachment, and what safety means, and how I communicate with my partner, and how much emotional self-regulation do I have on each moment, and this kind of identities, who is showing up now. And when you understand that there are many different parts of you that are showing up throughout your day, and then you start becoming curious about those parts, you will start understanding, oh, that's the part of me that is like, my partner has a good one, like she normally does it. And that's when I am being the analytical guy, right? We have a budget, and we cannot spend more than this, and we're not going to go to the restaurant because our budget on this is on $75 and we only have 100. So that is the part of me that wants to remain safe by controlling. But it is a good part too, because it keeps us in a budget and it keeps us safe financially speaking. But then finding that line, when is that part being too much, too activated? So when am I acting from a conscious part of maintaining structure and safety? And when am I being activated and feeling unsafe to the point that I need to control and I need to do it in a way that feels constricting to other people? So getting curious about those different kinds of energy, for example, in this concrete example, is very helpful. And I really, really invite you in your life to really try to get like a snapshot or of something very concrete in your life when you are trying to look at identities, behaviors, what kind of attachment style do I have, or do I behave. It's very important to really snapshot a specific event in your life, because otherwise it's gonna be all over the place and it's gonna be very, very difficult for you to gain clarity, to really understand what can I do differently next time something like this happens. So get really clear about specific moments, and then get clear about, okay, in that specific moment, who was showing up? What was that part of me trying to do? What was safety like in that moment for me? What did I need? Or what didn't I need? Etc. So it's very important to really use moments so that you can get deeper and analyze the different layers. So does that mean not taking any risk patterns? No, that doesn't mean that. That means quite the opposite, actually. Many times, I guess we have to define what a risk pattern is. Because for our nervous system, many times, something risky is something that we don't know, something that is not familiar, something that we cannot predict. And then my question for you is that truly risky, or is just unknown? And if you stay where you are and you are not liking what you are creating and you don't change anything, is that risky to stay there? Or is it riskier to step into the unknown? What is best? And at some point, we make the choice of letting go of what we have been doing and accepting that we don't know what else to do. And not knowing is actually a beautiful place to be many times. Because when you are truly acknowledging that I don't know, you are truly saying the part of me and the identity and the behavior that I was embodying, I don't want that anymore in my life. So I am ready to discover something different. But right now, I don't know what that is. But at least you are willing, you are accepting, you are present, and you are willing to explore and discover. And then you are going to start trying new things. Some are going to work, some are not going to work. And then you are going to learn through that experience until you discover what that is for you. And just go back to a child that is learning how to walk. Do they give up? Do they make mistakes? Are they really mistakes, or are they just things that they need to go through so that they can actually walk? And then take that analogy in yourself and imagine that you are a little boy, a little girl, a little child, and you are trying to learn something new that you have never done before. And just be gentle and patient, and maybe surround yourself by someone else who is doing something that you don't know how to do. Because just if you have been in a home where maybe what you have seen and what you have been modeled has always been an attachment, anxious, avoidant, and you have seen that in your parents, and they didn't have the opportunity to heal, they didn't have the opportunity to go to therapy, they didn't have the opportunity to do any inner work, they were too busy. Again, we're not pointing fingers at anyone. That was the situation that happened. It's not right or wrong, it's just what happened. Like, how can you know what being in a secure attachment looks like? How can you know what it is like to be in an environment that is healthy? And I have a very specific example about my own life. Like, I was in a household with a lot of mental health issues. When I was 13 years old, my sister, she's 1 year older than me, she developed schizophrenia, and we had no idea what was happening. She has all these bipolar, kind of like she was hearing voices. She was very erratic emotionally. No idea what was going to happen every day. She would start screaming in the middle of the street. And then my father, a couple of years later, he developed bipolar, and then he had these extreme highs and then these extreme lows. And then for an entire 10 years that I lived there after, until I was 20, the situation in my house was really volatile, emotionally very draining, but I became used to that because that was my reality. So when my partner Samantha came into the picture and she came into my home and she was able to be there for a little bit, she told me, Emilio, this is not healthy. I don't know if you cannot see, but this is not normal. This is not what a normal family looks like. These are not healthy. It's not okay that this is happening. It's not okay that people are screaming this way. That's emotional abuse, and that is so. And then I started to recognize, wow, I guess that has been my reality for so many years. So how can I know what is normal when my normality is like that? So what I'm trying to say here is that sometimes you don't know what you want is yet because you have not been exposed to it, but you do know what you don't want anymore. And it may take a few tries, and it may take, some unlearning. It may take a lot of being humble in the sense that I have no idea. What I have been until now clearly is not supporting myself anymore, and I need to create something different for myself, and I need to structure my life on a different way. And then you are basically shaking your beliefs, and sometimes this happens midlife crisis, right? People talk about I'm having my midlife crisis. Sometimes this is what a midlife crisis is. You just cannot bear anymore being someone that you are not. You cannot bear anymore carrying these identities that no longer serve you. And you are growing and growing and wanting something different, and these identities no longer fit you. So it's very, very important to be really compassionate and patient and curious and understand that this is not about pointing fingers. This is not about making people wrong or right for what they did or they didn't do. It's about understanding that we have the opportunity now to break this cycle. We have the opportunity now to do something different, to break this generational trauma, these family systems, these patterns that no longer serve us. And we can transfer something different to our children and to the people around us by just being willing to try something different. Yeah. I am 55 and I need a change. Life is short. Yeah, and it's never too late, right? I have read books from very inspiring authors. I don't know, Louise Hay and so many people. They started living according to their true selves when they were 70, 60, 70. And they built a brand new career. They brought books. They completely inspired millions of people. And they started when they were retiring, kind of thing, from our identity when life is almost over and we are done with our career and we are just gonna go to the beach and sunshine and stuff. That's when many people started becoming their true selves. So it's never too late. Yeah. Yeah, Marjorie says, this brings up the distinction between being versus doing. Can you identify as one without the other? Yeah, I think, Marjorie, it's important to balance those two things, right? To understand that they are different things. Being and doing are very different things. But the doing is necessary, and the being is necessary, and sometimes they don't have to be connected. So what you do shouldn't define what you are, and what you are shouldn't force you to do something. But of course, we are on earth here to do things, to experience, right? So then now I would like to talk about what happens when old identities fall away and you are done with them and you are breaking through them and you just want something different, right? Sometimes these major life changes are happening, and that will help dissolve these familiar identities. Sometimes it's like you are losing your job, you're getting a divorce, you have to move to a different location. maybe a loved one passes away. I don't know. There are so many different life circumstances that can happen that may shake you to the core and may shake these identities to the core. So when this happens, can feel very confusing, very unsafe, very disorienting. Sometimes this is a personal choice. So nothing really is happening. It's quite the opposite. Everything on the outside looks great, but there is a part of you that just is not fulfilled. It's not feeling aligned, and it needs something different. So that's when we enter the in-between. So the old part of us, the old identity is kind of, we let it go and it's in the back and it's kind of fading away. And then what we are stepping into is not here yet. It's not clear. We are not, it's like, imagine that you are hanging from a rope and you know that you have to let go of that rope, but there is no other rope to hold onto. And basically you have to let go of the rope, fall into the void that you don't know what's under there, and trust that there is something there to catch you. And then we always want to hold on to the new rope before we let go of the old one, right? That's what feels the safest. But the truth is that many times that's not how it happens. That's not how change happens. There is a positive disintegration. There is a chaos. There is a uncertainty. There is the unknown. And that's where we have to step truly when we want to create something that is truly new and different. Otherwise, we are going to be repeating something that we already have experienced. And yeah, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, right, you cannot create something new from the predictable future or familiar past. You have to step into the unknown. And that's what some of you are doing, that you share in the comments, right? You share, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm jumping into that uncertainty, into the void, into the quantum field, into the unknown. And I trust that I will figure it out. I trust that whatever I need is going to keep showing up, and I will know what to do every moment to keep guiding myself towards what feels best rather than staying stuck in the old. It takes a lot of courage to do that. So it's not easy. Yeah, so create a space between the old self and the emerging self, so the in-between, and the nervous system reacts. It's unknown equals it's unsafe. And because we don't understand what's happening, logically speaking and intellectually speaking, we are going to be trying to micromanage, we are going to be not trusting the process. And that's something that we need to learn, the allowing, the trusting, the surrendering. Sometimes that is a really important skill that may feel out of place, but it is very, very necessary. So some reflective questions about this is, which identity feels obsolete or heavy right now? So which identity feels obsolete or heavy, like a burden to you? Where do you feel resistance to letting go of an old pattern, an old identity? And what may emerge if I step into the unknown space? So what are the possibilities that may arise, that may appear once you step into that unknown, that may not appear if you are still grabbing to the old part of you and you don't let it go? And then I would like to talk about the importance of relationships and how they act as mirrors to help us discover these identities, to help us uncover these behaviors that we may embody unconsciously many times. So identities influence how we relate to partners, friends, and family. Protective identities attract complementary dynamics that recreate familiar patterns. And this is why there is such thing as imago therapy and imago dialogue that I talk a lot about. But the imago theory says that unconsciously we are always attracted to what feels familiar to us. So if we are, for example, used to being raised in an environment where maybe the cycle of avoiding and anxiety was always activated between parents, and you always observe that, and then you develop that kind of dynamic with your mother, with your father, with whoever was around you, unconsciously you are going to feel attracted to that in a romantic partner, and you're going to keep recreating that same cycle. And that's why sometimes the idea of I need to heal before I enter a relationship is not true. You enter a relationship and then you are going to have the opportunity to heal a lot of things about you and the other person. And when I say heal, it doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. What I mean is you are just realigning yourself and you are just choosing something different. And you are not going to choose a dynamic that doesn't feel aligned with you anymore. So maybe the drama of, but now I scream at you and then I leave out of the door for 2 hours, and then after we're going to have a huge attraction to be together again, but then we repeat the cycle again. So once you repeat that a few times, maybe you say, I'm done with this. I want something more stable. I want something more predictable. I just don't want to depend on this. So then you are choosing consciously something different. And maybe that looks like secure attachment. So you don't need this drama to feel attraction. And you can create attraction differently. So this is one example of breaking this dynamic and how being in a relationship can be very powerful to help you understand and to help you see that part of you that if you are not in a relationship, most likely it's not going to get so activated. You are not going to be able to see it as much. So yeah, for example, the caretaker, if someone has the identity of caretaker, is going to attract someone who is emotionally unavailable, because that way both people are going to receive something similar, right? The person who likes to take care of others is going to receive a person that needs them, and the person who is not able to take care of themselves, they're going to be with someone who is going to do that for them, and then that dynamic starts forming. And until one of those people don't decide that I don't want to be having this identity anymore, then they may stop doing that identity and the cycle will stop. And then they may choose to do something different. And sometimes that may look like we are splitting up because there is no, but sometimes there is the opportunity for that same relationship to be broken and then to be created with a different foundation. And if you listen to some people that talk about relationships and they have been with the same partner for a long time, but they have said, we broke up and this was our version 3 of relationship, what they are talking about is this. They broke up with that identity. They broke up with that cycle. They broke up with that energetic blueprint. And that doesn't always mean that you are breaking up with the person and splitting and finding a different person. Sometimes that's the case, but sometimes you can do that with your current partner if they are both willing to change, if they are both willing to look at these identities and choose something different. And they can go through that messiness and that chaotic stage of experimenting different things together. And how beautiful that is, right? Having two people that they don't know what they are doing, but they know what they don't want to keep doing anymore. And then maybe they read books, maybe they go to courses, maybe they have therapy together, maybe they learn imago dialogue, maybe they learn whatever. And then they come together and they keep discovering what feels good. They keep doing things and practicing, relating to each other in a way that is nurturing. And just imagine that change, the impact that will have in children if they are around and they see that process. And imagine the ripple effect that will have in people around you that are seeing like, wow, you guys went from fighting like crazy to being able to sit in front of each other and share every truth that you have, to being able to reinvent yourself and to readapt and to become someone else in the same relationship. And you don't let the childhood wound to make you feel so defensive or so disconnected that you run away from that relationship to sadly repeat the same process with another person. So yeah, it's just something that you can explore too. So I believe that all the identities that falls away sometime in our lifetime are false because they have been created as a reaction in us. How do you think we reconnect to our true deep identity, if there is one? Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think we all spend our whole lives trying to discover what that is. And I truly believe that sometimes we have more than one. Sometimes life evolves, and I believe that we are here to experience and to discover. And sometimes what we are attracted to may change over time, because as we change as people, as we grow, the interest that we have may change, our dynamics and how we embody things may change, and that's going to have a change in everything around us, like people, partners, family members, jobs, friends, hobbies, etc. So I think it's always to be honest with yourself and to recognize that there are some periods of life where you are going to be maintaining an identity that feels aligned with you, identity and identities, because you may have more than one, but at some point you may change or evolve or discover something, and then that will make you want to evolve differently. And then you have to be courageous enough to accept that truth, and then courageous enough to discover what that looks like, and be humble enough to say, I don't know what this looks like, but I feel that there is a change happening, and I am okay not knowing, and I am okay stepping into the unknown and knowing and trusting that what I need, my intuition is going to guide me, and I'm going to see signs. And when something is presented to me, I'm going to take full action, and just step into that energy of discovery, right? So Linda, can you speak more on Imago approach? Where could I learn more? Yeah, Linda, my partner and I, we created an Imago dialogue course that you can explore. I also have a few tracks that you can listen for free on Insight Timer. If you type Imago dialogue, you are gonna find some of these live sessions that I have done on this topic, and we did one, my partner and I, live, that you can listen to and you can see what it is. But I have shared the course, Healing Through Connection, Mastering the Art of Imago Dialogue, and this is just one beautiful way to really cultivate this healing opportunity inside a couple, a romantic couple. You can use this structure with other areas of life in different layers too, but this is very powerful. In my experience, it has been really powerful. It is today. We still do dialogues I would say a few a week, because it's a beautiful way to keep discovering these dynamics, these wounds, these identities that keep showing up and are sabotaging us, are activating the other person, are being mean, are being abandoned, feeling anxious, and then really discover, where did that come from? When did I need to create this? How can I show up differently here? How can I integrate this part of me and in a way that feels more aligned? And doing this with another person, especially with your romantic partner, is so powerful. It's not the only thing that we do. I have to also say that. Like, I don't want you to pretend that your partner is going to be everything for you. This is a combination of, I have my own friends that I speak with. I have my men's circle that I go to. She has women's circle. She has her friends. Sometimes we do therapy independently. So there are different ways to do this, and it's a combination of things. It's not just one thing, but I think it's a very powerful way to show up together and to create space for each other. Yeah. So this is we are almost at the end of the session, guys. If this was helpful, as always, I really appreciate your support. You can support me by giving a donation. You can support me by following me. I have a brand new page that I have created that is called, where I have all the offerings, and I have created, for every course that I have on Insight Timer here, there is a new workbook that you can get, and it's a pay as much as you can, so you can get it for free. And if you want to donate something, it's very easy for you to donate in there. But it's available for everyone, and you can access the Imago Dialogue workbook. And in that workbook, it's a PDF document. You have all the structure, all the steps, and there is a beautiful visual thing that my partner Samantha created, where you can print it and you can follow that. And you will see options in there to work with me one-on-one. I have guided couples through Imago Dialogue. in person and virtually. It's also possible to do it virtually. It's a beautiful tool, and I have to say that my partner and I, we couldn't get through the first dialogue alone. There were so many dynamics that we were unconscious to, that were getting on the way, and they were getting activated. And sometimes it's really, really, really helpful and necessary to have someone else helping you ground the space, helping you guide you both through your own experience, especially the first time, because it's going to be very intense. And just be gentle, but that's a beautiful structure to get started with that you can explore. Yeah, so do you and Samantha offer in-person gatherings? I live on Vancouver Island and quite close to Campbell River. Susie, reach out, and if you want something concrete, we can create something most likely. We don't have anything planned because we are moving every few weeks, but we're going to be in Campbell River for a few more days. We're going to be in Quadra Island for a month, and then 6 weeks in Corney, in Merville, that is very close to Campbell River. So feel free to reach out, send me an email with what you would like to receive. And we are very happy to just get together for coffee or something if you want, or prepare something together. That would be amazing. And we would love to do it. I would love to do it. So yeah, that would be really good. Paula, thank you so much. This was so helpful, Emilio. I am up against the need to make changes in my identities. Yeah, Paula, get started, have fun, get curious, and create space to have conversations with them. I do this in sessions with clients. I use parts work, and I create structure to talk to all these different parts, invite them, and then we do sometimes somatic work, and we allow them to express, and then we do some reparenting inner child, and then we recreate a new scenario for that little child that didn't receive, but that's what he or she needed. So there are many different ways of doing this. Somatically, emotionally, and also intellectually. So yeah, very beautiful work. Yeah, Susie, we'd love to connect if you want to. So feel free to reach out. Okay? Amazing, guys. If you don't have any more questions, I'm going to let you go. Today I have to take my daughter to the pool, swimming pool. So I'm going to be getting ready for that. Thank you so much, as always, for your presence and for your support. Thank you for your donation, Linda. And I hope to see you next week if you can make it. Actually, I think next week I don't have a live session because we are transitioning homes. But see you in the next live. You can see it in my profile. Okay? Until then, I hope that you can get curious, exploring your identities. And if you need anything, please reach out. Okay? Adios, guys.